Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my show. Smitty on the corner, 007, bro. This is for you, not me. So smash the like button. Every time you see me subscribe, you should tell a homie all about the dope videos and good vibe. Yes, I'm lying, high five to the good guys, but we move like good fellas. Light hops, 3-1. Yes, we do it better. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my show. Smitty on the corner, 007, bro. This is for you, not me. So smash the like button. Every time you see me subscribe, you should tell a homie all about the dope videos and good vibe. Yes, I'm live high five to the good guys, but one with good fellas. Light out, radio one. Yes, we do it better.
I'm super fresh, feeling in my humble abode. I'm so fly, I'm so high. I've been all around the past. Modern J one time, I feel good. I'm so amped. I walk for days just to the top. Yes, I'm the cream of the crop. From that classy gentleman, champagne sipping in my left hand. My life is humble as I watch the cookie crumble. Years I stumble, but I'm still moving, still grooving. Sharpshooter with a hard promo. Pen not too good at this rest of song. Like piss, watch flex my muscle and watch me prop my shit. Super flash, feeling in a humble guy. I so fly, I so high, been all around the past. I'm super fresh, feeling in my humble guy. I so fly, I'm so high, been all around the past. Ah, 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 ah.
This episode is brought to you by Toxic People. That's right. Do you know someone who might be toxic? Stay tuned.
I'm no big dog, but I got a big bite. Mr. 7 back again, why aggressing all the mic? I keep it hype, man. I'd rather hit a J with you than scuff around and fight. I tackle any challenge that be in my line of sight. I'm that crispy, clean, king iron fist, walking by my skin is Hennessy. I'm the remedy, even when I'm gone, my thoughts will linger for eternity. Just in case you never heard of me, nice. To meet you, you could call me County King. My spirit shine like the glisten of a bling. When the devil gets to talking, that's when God starts walking. I listen to spirit when the message is locked in. Yes, I spin to and hashtag no gamble. My life is beautiful, skin stay shining from my head to my cuticles. Mr. 7 clocking out, I digress, my mic is new.
Constellations, I construct them, I compute this, and it's fanning. Constellations, I construct them, I compute this, and it's fanning.
Constellations I construct and computers I'm in phantom.
I compute this, and it's fanning.
Constellations I construct and computers I'm in phantom.
Oh, man. You know, you got to give it up for the tunes. Don't sit up there and fake like y'all don't love them tunes. Respect. Welcome back. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. So for this short segment, y'all know how I do my lives. It's, for the most part, pretty shortcut. Unless you all make it a show, the more you interact, the more we talk, right? Let's go ahead and get it. So what it is I want to talk about today is toxic people, right? What's going on? What's going on, hon? I see you in the building. Much respect to you. if you want to come up, you're more than welcome to come on up and talk with me about this. Definitely could use your perspective if you're available. All right. If not, it's all good. It's all good. So let's go ahead and get to it, right? I want to talk about toxic people, right? So most of us know folks in our life that can be very toxic. And what I try to figure out is, why do people gravitate to it? Like, that's an honest question. I really want to know, what is it about you in particular that you love to gravitate to toxic situations? A lot of people don't know how to answer that. So I went on ahead and got some questions formulated. I got 5 of them for us today. And let's go ahead and see what we got. All right, now. What are some common signs that someone in your life is toxic, right? And how do you read it early? What are some common signs that someone in my life is toxic, and how do I read it early? One, first and foremost, I believe that has a lot to do with how much you're accustomed to it. What's going on, Rooster? I see you in the building, bruh. Like, it has a lot to do with how much you're accustomed to it. Are you used to seeing toxic people? Is that what you're accustomed to? See, the thing is that I believe that when we're talking about the common signs, if you're not accustomed to that, you're going to read it off rip. Now, if that's something that you're used to, that's something you're accustomed to, it'll be a little different. But we'll get into that a little bit more, right? So what are some common signs that you can tell that someone in your life is toxic? No accountability. That's the very first sign. Like, when you just don't account for shit, like, you just, everything is always somebody else's fault. It's always an excuse and a reason. That's toxic. That's very toxic, believe it or not. It's not just denial, because denial is not just a river in Jordan. It's also a headspace. Let that sit, let it marinate. So I would say that definitely the common signs would be a person who lacks self-awareness, lacks accountability. That's what I see. Why do toxic relationships feel so difficult to escape, even when you know it's harmful? Why do toxic relationships feel so difficult to escape, even when you know it's harmful? Because it's what you're accustomed to. I've talked about this to an extent multiple times when it comes to okay, so let me read this again, so I'll make sure I get my thoughts all the way right. Why do toxic relationships feel so difficult to escape, even when you know it's harmful? Because that might be what you're accustomed to. You say what now? Let me see what we got right here. So we are attracted to the toxicity in ourselves. And that is in the other person. Agreed. Definitely. Boom. What it is generally, you know how they say birds of a feather. So that's why I say it's all about what you're accustomed to. Like me, believe it or not, like, y'all know I can get with you on some stuff if you coming at me a certain way, but I don't really care for arguing. I don't like yelling and arguing. I don't like fighting with people. That's just not my mode. I just know how to bring it when it's necessary. Yes, I do have claws and fangs, just like the rest of us, right? So, I mean, you back them into a corner, what you think gonna happen. But outside of that, like, that's one thing that I do not rock with. I don't. I like nice, chill, peaceful settings. I like things to be in order. I like things clean around me. All of these things have to do with not being toxic. So that's what I would say for that one right there. Let's go ahead and move this on down to number 3. What does number 3 read? How can toxic people impact your mental health And how does the damage show its face? Now, that's a good question. I really would like to hear from you guys on that one. How can toxic people impact your mental health? And how does the damage show face? How does it show face? I believe that toxic people can damage your mental health because you get warped into a cycle of dysfunction. Now, when you get warped into that cycle of dysfunction, that's what really brings about what makes the whole circumstance toxic. That's what can really mess up your mental. You see? So when I think about how can toxic people in my life mess up my mental health, it's because I value my peace way too much. I do. I don't like cutting people off, but like, if it's something that's going to disturb my peace, my own child even, at some point, I would have to say, I got to wash my hands with it. My peace is too important at this point, because when everything else fails you in life, you know, one thing that you can always resort to, your peace of mind. That's the one thing that I will not allow nobody to take from me. You can rob me for possessions, but you will never rob me of my peace of mind. And that's how I look at it, right? Moving along to number 4. Number 4 reads, what steps can someone take to set boundaries with toxic people? What steps can you take to set boundaries with toxic people? That's pretty simple. Don't go around them. But see, again, it's all about what we accustomed to. If you coming from that place where like you from the hood, you from those loud houses, you from the environment where everybody cusses each other out, you come from that environment where we don't talk to the kids, we just say, get your ass in that room before I beat your ass. If you're accustomed to that, it ain't nothing to you. It's just life. It'd have been real nice if your ass would have just came up here and said all of this, but I'm gonna go ahead and read it. Message received, message received. And sometimes that toxic energy shows up as our family, friends, or even a close lovers. Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely, it does. It shows up in that way. Well, it's not even about it shows up in that way. It's just that nobody, like people are humans. Like your loved ones, your family members, your lover, all of these individuals are human. At least I hope so, right? So taking it that they're all human, everybody is subject to flaw. Now, the thing about it is that, see, what's the difference between being subject to flaw and being toxic? Exactly what I said earlier, the lack of accountability when it comes to it. That's really all the difference is, right? Like if you want to nutshell it in that sense. So that's what's up with that one. So yeah, when it says what steps can we take to set boundaries? I would say definitely your circle, your group. But it's something. It's something. You know, I be having to check myself at times. I do. I'm not exempt. As much as I say, trust me, you know how I look at toxic circumstances sometimes when I like to view it and watch it. It's like, to me, it's like watching an action movie. It's like watching a boxing match or MMA fight. The same endorphins, the same excitement that I get from watching a really good fight, because I love boxing, I love martial arts, right? That's something I'm into, right? I look at that the same way, but then I have to say to myself, why? I have to actually ask myself that question. Like, what is it? Why am I looking at this? Why did I even hit the panel? Why am I up here? Why am I saying anything? And then I have to remember there's a certain amount of me. I was raised in that shit. I come from that. I come from that. That's what that's what I'm accustomed to. Let me see. Hold on now. There we go. And shout out to the peoples. Yo, you came up here in time because I was damn sure. If I'm up here by myself too long, it's gonna be a short live. What's up with
Oh,
you?
Grand Rising.
Much respect to you, beloved. What you got for this so far? You want me to go back over the questions? Is there anyone in particular you wanted to respond to? What you got on your mind?
Oh, I did respond to the first, I think. Well, go back over because I responded to two of them.
Okay, so all right, so it's only five of them. One reads, "What are some common signs that someone in your life is toxic, and how do you read it early?" That was
Oh,
one.
yeah. I didn't say anything about that one.
What do you got for that?
Some common signs that someone in my life is toxic.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I
How do
don't
you?
know what the common signs would be because like everybody's kind of different, how they show it. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes the toxic is um I'm thinking like, you know what, you have to also be careful because sometimes it's not even that, it's us reading it as that. Like, the way of not having to like deal with a person. So we almost equate toxic to being anything like, oh well, you
That's
disagree with me.
that's
You're being toxic or you were arguing with me or you don't like what I said and you know
yep.
what, you're being toxic. So it's like how we use narcissism, like we put it on everything, so it's not even so it might be like just identifying what is actually toxic for you,
Mm-hmm.
in regards to just like toxic in general, because you know what I mean? Like we kind of put a blanket on it. We say, oh, Smitty, you know what? You didn't, Smitty, I texted you the other day. You didn't text me back. You're toxic. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
you don't respond to people when they reach out to you. You're being toxic. So it's almost like, what does it first have to say to you to be, what is your toxic, I guess, limit or barometer, I guess? You
Like
know
the
what I
metric,
mean?
like how do you like what's the metric of it? How do you even measure it? I
How
get
do you
it.
even measure it, right? Because
Right.
I grew
Right.
up in a house that it was fine for someone to be like, "Yo, Smitty," you'd be like, "What?" And he'd be like, "Hey, bring me that. When you come this way, bring me my wallet, bring my purse." And it
Right.
wasn't nothing, right? You wouldn't think nothing about it. You'd be like, "Oh, okay." But then sometimes you as you grow older and you get around other people, and you might do the same thing to your girlfriend or boyfriend. You'd be like, "Yo, Jen," and she'd be like, "Who the hell did you yelling at?" You like, wait. In my household, nothing was wrong with that. Everywhere I've been, nothing's been wrong with that. Hey, I've been down the street and yelled at my homeboy, hey, Daquan, what you doing? And there's nothing been wrong with that until I did with you. And because they don't want to be able to adjust or accept that, that's just my how I communicate in my house. It's nothing wrong. I'm not doing anything bad. I'm not defaming you. I'm just hollering instead of getting up, walking over there to you. I'm just hollering from the room. But to them, that could be very toxic because they didn't grow up in that environment. But instead of them trying to adjust, because a lot of, that might be the situation, they'll say, hey, I can't be around you because you yell from the other room. That's kind of toxic. You know what I mean? So it might need to be a barometer first of what is that for you, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know you got something to say to this. I think you did answer this one, but I would like to hear your words and a little more elaboration. When I said, why do toxic relationships feel so difficult to escape, even when you know it's harmful? Now, I would ask you this: do you believe it's different for women than it is men? First,
Um, only because I'm not a man. So I wouldn't know.
gotcha.
Um,
Nah, respect to that. Nah, I absolutely
I
respect that.
know that it's absolutely difficult for every woman that I've encountered. Even the
So,
women that act like so all you do is just pick up and leave, and then there's still that whatever that energy is, it still wore them down. You know what I mean? It still exhausted them. So even
why
the strong ones that are like, oh, well, all you got to do is just be like, tell that person no. That boundary, some.
you went out?
And you there? My
There you go.
alarm went off. Hello?
No. There you go. No, you just went out
Uh-oh.
for a
Can y'all
second.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't know if you hold on. Look in the chat.
I don't think you can hear me.
Yes. Hold
I'm in the
on.
show, but I think my alarm went off, so you probably can't hear me.
Drop down and come back. I can hear you just fine. I think the sound went out. Can you see the chat? Can you hear me at all? Can you hear me at all? Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2.
Yeah, I'll leave and come back.
Mic check 1 2. There we go. All right, so hopefully she'll come right on back up. But yeah, I was actually wondering that. I'm just wondering, like, what is it about toxic relationships that make it so difficult for people to leave? Like, what is that exactly? Right. So that's something I've been thinking about for quite some time. We're gonna just give her a quick moment and see if she come on back. I'm gonna just kind of go over the questions again real quick, briefly. Y'all know how I do for those coming in late. And then we're gonna go ahead and have ourselves a wonderful day, wonderful morning. Let me see something right here. There we go. Okay. Oops. Hold on. I got you. Mic check 1 2. You right there?
Yeah, you can hear me now. My alarm went off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Smitty, you woke me up this morning.
Yeah, I was able to hear you the entire time. There she go. There go Auntie. I know you got something to say about toxic people. I know you do. You know,
Oh, okay.
that's
So
what
wait,
I'm.
what was the question? Oh, how
So
come
the
it's so
question
hard
is,
to get away from?
yeah. So my question was, I'm wondering, why is it so difficult? Like, because I'm hearing women all the time say good vibes only. But yet, do you not know how many times I've had a homegirl or someone I know, even a relative, a cousin of mine, woman cousin of mine or something, that would tell me about this such toxic ass dude that they're with, or this toxic ass friend who always getting them into shit. And I just be wondering, why do you keep going back? Like, it ain't but so much I can give you. And the only thing at that point, I have to now question you, not that person. That person is obviously doing what they do. Why do you keep going back to it?
But it's sometimes it's a two-way street. Okay, so so on the friend side, on the platonic friendship side,
Mhm.
a lot of us women have that toxic friend, that female friend who's not so always nice. I had she was like a family, like a close friend of mine, close family friend. We've known her since she was like a little bitty. We've known each other since we were both little bitty girls, and
Right.
she was built like her father. So remember, I don't know if you were around when I think it was like Coffee or somebody was saying like, most girls kind of when they have a funny build, they're not as feminine. They're built like their dad, and the same thing for the men.
Oh,
Like when
you mean
they're more
really? I thought
so
you I'm sorry, pineapple. I thought you meant like she's like mentally built like her dad. You mean literally she looks like.
physically, yeah. So
Got you.
so
Okay.
that's why I was referencing that because I don't know because I was gonna say because she's built like her father, right? She's a bigger girl, she's thicker. I
Right.
guess I'm built more like my mom, like I'm more built femininely.
I
So
got you.
that we would clash in that regards. And I'm saying that because it became toxic after a while to the point where we ended up not interacting anymore because and you almost can attribute it to saying, okay, we grew apart because either one of you either grow out of whatever that is, right? It's like okay, when you're younger, it's almost like a rites of passage on how to deal with things and how to learn how to deal with that. And then when you become an adult, you're able to say, okay, I know how to deal with this kind of person. So I guess that's the practice you get to when you're younger. You can kind of filter things out and see how much of it you can take because you see how I'm built. Everyone knows how I'm built. I'm a small, petite person, and she's bigger and thicker. And she would always introduce me as, "This is Genesis, my anorexic friend. This is my anorexic cousin."
Oh
And
no, you know
yeah,
what that is, right? No, beloved, that
I,
right there. I
I
know.
know. That's why I told you that story because everybody's like, "Why did you leave her ass alone when she first said it?"
Mm, that's projection. Listen, I've had I've had homies that like for some reason we be like everything real cool, right? We just kicking it when it's just us. For some strange reason, when we get around a crowd, they want to bring up embarrassing stories or try to say certain things, and it's like, what type of time are you
Right.
on, bro?
So
You know
for
what I mean? I've always
boys,
been one that peak. But
what happened?
wait, real quick, just to land
Mm-hmm.
it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, pineapple, mango. So
Mango.
to land it, what I'm saying is that these people generally do that because it's something in you that they see that's of a true likeness, and they know people are drawn to you. When that person is projecting like that, only thing that they're doing is making sure that nobody else wants to see you the way they see you. They
Exactly.
actually see you as something. That's what that was. So when she said my anorexic friend, no, what that no, in translation, decoding that this is my friend whose body and shape I absolutely admire, and I wish I looked like her. I wish that I had this figure, but since I don't, and I probably won't ever be able to acquire it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to down her some because I don't want you to see her how I see her. Go.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
what that
I,
was.
I know. I have two friends like that, that both of them ended up the same way. Known them since like youth days. So that's why it's not like an adult friendship to where it's like, oh, well,
Right.
you could just walk away and be like, screw them. But yeah, I have two, and they're bigger, less bigger. Um, One person embraced it. But her toxicity was because she's a bigger girl, she's a bigger girl, and her toxicity with me, the one friend,
Hmm.
her toxicity with me was that she's taller and bigger, and I'm short in stature. So you know how us 5'4" girls are always like, "Oh my God, we're so tiny, we're bite size." Bite size is not even cute until like later in life, but up until then, you're just short for everything. Like you're almost my little sister she's just 5'2" as an adult. So look how long it took her to even be able to get on a ride because she was so little. But to say the story with the one friend, she was taller, so that was the whole I'm taller, I'm longer, I'm an Amazon and you're just this little squirt thing. But the other one, she was also bigger, but I'm the anorexic cousin, I'm the anorexic friend. And then for both of them, everybody around me eventually we ended up not being around each other, but everyone around me throughout the years would say, why do you hang out with her? Like what you were saying, to go back to the question, why is it so hard to walk away from, even in a intimate relationship with a man, but even in a friendship with your home girl, your homeboy, it's something else that they provide for you that's a positive that you seem to just kind of weigh it against the friendship, and it could be to your detriment and it could be damaging. So then when you're saying why don't we walk away, the person that's saying that it's hard is at the other end of that relationship where it's so much more invested. Like I said, I've known both of these people since we were young and little, high school, junior high school, grew up together. Our moms were best friends. And then to grow up to never end up speaking to you again because this whole time I've been your anorexic, cousin, or I've been your little munchkin compared to like the munchkins on the Wizard of Oz, and she's an Amazon and she's a Meg the Stallion, and I'm this little munchkin person, this little person almost, um, um, just to be able to walk away from that and say, okay, the peace line had to be drawn. I had to figure out where's my peace because, like you said, I was accustomed to it because I was just so used to being around them as being a childhood friend. I didn't think anything of it. When they were little, they would say crazy stuff. When they grew up, we said crazy stuff. And then, of course, we played the dozens, right, Smitty? You try to find something to combat it with, and you say, hey, well, that's why your edges don't grow, and that's why you got to wear weave.
Right.
Because the one friend who's bigger than me, her hair doesn't ever grow. Like my hair's down my back, but she always have had to wear a wig. But the other one that caused me anorexic, she's still bigger than me. Even after having a baby, she just was like, big, forget it. I can't lose this weight. So what she ended up doing was she ended up turning it and saying, hey, you know what, Shin, you inspired me to love myself the way I am. But that wasn't until after all the toxicity damage was done. Like, girl, I can't be around you. I don't care how much you love yourself. You know what I mean? So it's almost because it's a positive too. It's like, well, this is my cousin. This is my friend since junior high. This is my friend since elementary. This is my mom's best friend's daughter. And she's the only child. If she don't have nobody to play with, I don't, I got little sisters and brothers. So you almost weigh it against what you have with that person to say, how do I just walk away from this? And then of course, I think over time too, is the more you start to establish your piece, like you said, your boundary, that boundary kind of sets itself by itself. Like they told me, I remember one day she called me and said, "Oh, you're different. You've been acting different." And almost like it's a what do they call it? what's that little trick when they make it seem like it's your fault, but it's really them, but it's like all your fault. Well, you're so different
Um,
now, Smitty.
reverse, reverse psychology.
Yeah, so now they're saying, "Oh, Smitty, you know what? You're into your head now. You're all this peaceful, unbeloved and respect person now, and I that you're different now, Smitty. I don't know who this guy is, and so now it's your fault that you was like, look, I'm not taking this no more. My peace is more important, and you start distancing yourself by default, and of course, they make it seem your fault to kind of keep the toxic connection, if that's something." So that's just the best way. I think it's for men, it's probably the same way, but I think for men the relationship part is probably different, like why you can't leave a toxic girlfriend as opposed to just like leave your homeboys alone, that always remind everyone that you peed in the bed when you were 15, like you're 40 years old now, what I'm saying? We don't need to be reminded that that was a moment in your life, but those toxic friends will still sit around you to this day and be like, yo, Smitty, did you tell Jen about the day you peed in the bed? You're like, what the, you know? So I think the more you set that boundary too for
Mhm.
yourself, it just kind of creates it by its, kind of default. Like they don't want to be around you anymore because I was told I was much different. I was not the same that I was before, which means I wasn't the same person that let you sit up here and talk to me crazy because now I don't want to talk to me crazy like that. So I'm different, So yeah, I think that's my take on it.
To decode what you just said when you were speaking about the particular point of, oh, you acting different now and you're changing. No, what they're saying to decode that is, I'm not growing as fast as you are. Don't leave me behind.
Mm,
That's what they're
mm,
think about it. Like, come on, man. You elevating, you doing shit. You really out here grinding. You're really out here prioritizing responsibility over pleasure. I'm not doing that. In order for us to stay cool, I need you to stay down here. Don't you rise up too high. What do you think?
mm-hmm,
Now we can't
mm-hmm,
talk because you all the way up there.
mm-hmm. He said, "Don't you rise up too high? How dare
Nah,
you?"
stay right down here with me. Stay right down here in this low level, low vibrational state. Stay in a low frequency.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
That
I
is.
can see that. I can see
Stay-
that.
And so then even I don't know if you answered this one or not. How can toxic people impact your mental health? Like how can that really affect it? Like what do you say to that?
Um, I could just speak anecdotally that that's the whole thing when people say, don't you
Hmm.
see that she doesn't really okay, so for a friendship, it's the lack of what is it called? Reciprocation. You start
Reciprocate.
you start not getting back what you put in, and you
Right.
start like to process it differently in your head. You start to think about it differently, like, well, and then that's when you have that argument with the friend, like, I'm always the one calling you first, or I'm always the one reaching out, or
Fact. Fact.
I'm always the one suggesting where we want to go. And then if you don't want to go, I'll drive, like that's that friend. That's what that looks like. So it kind of affects you that way because you start thinking about I'm spending more money than you, or I'm always deciding on what to do. And, you know, mentally as well, as far as the same sex, the friendship, like when it's crazy toxic, because we've seen it online, like the frenemy situation where, it's the girl's birthday, but her friends push her in a pool and they mess her hair up. You know what I'm saying? Like you in your mind, you're not thinking that person that did that to you that is not your friend, that you guys aren't friends anymore. You guys are the relationship is kind of dissipating. When it comes to like intimate relationships, it's a lot different because you're also compiling like that you love this person in a different way. If my sister can be toxic and then I just only have to deal with her and during the holidays, right? My brother's toxic to me. Let's use a real life. My brother, as far as family is concerned, my brother is kind of toxic to me, right? He don't know where he is. He don't like nothing. He want to complain about everything. So I don't have to deal with him. So I can preserve my mental, I can preserve my mind and my spirit until Christmas, until the holiday, because that's the only time we want to see each other is during the holidays when we all meet up at mom's house. But as far as a boyfriend or a husband or a fiance, someone I'm dating that I'm intimate with, who's literally like, I woke up with you this morning. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, how do you got to start to kind of figure out how that person is affecting your head because they're there with you all the time, or they're more inserted into your life than your family is. You know what I mean? So I probably have to think about who is it, because
That sounds like you're describing more of a drunken love.
well, the like with my toxic relationship,
Right.
in my head, I mean, I still cared about him, the first sign of toxicity.
Right.
But then you say, okay, because in a relationship you feel like you can just, okay, you know what, Smitty, we gotta, let's sit and talk about this, right? Everybody wants to talk about it first, dissect it first, and
Right.
then let's fix it and then grow from there, right? That's the process. So your question is, how does it affect your boundaries, right? Like, what do you
Like,
do?
yeah, I mean, like your own mental well-being, like
Right.
being in around toxic people, how does that affect your peace, your well-being?
Right. So I think, like, that's why I said I think like family is different, because like I can preserve my well being up until the holiday. I can prepare myself for Easter. You know what I mean? Oh, I gotta see my cousin, I gotta see my auntie who always complaining. Oh, I don't have to deal with that person until that family event comes up, or until that moment where we are all together. But as far as your intimate person, you're there with them all day. So you have to, I know for me, I had to figure out what was happening to me. You know what I mean? I had to figure out. So once the first thing is probably, first layer is probably like, what do you go through the 9 steps of
What
what is it, Alcohol Anonymous? The steps. First time you have to
well,
acknowledge it and say what's happening to you first, because that's the first part of it. You can't protect anything if you don't even realize what's happening, and that's most of the cases, Smitty. Because we look at them and be like, Smitty, why you let your boy talk to you like that? That's your why you let your woman talk to you like that? Why she say? And then in our cases, it's mostly, why you let that man do you like this? And we're like, well, um, this is the guy who needed a second chance and no one ever gave him a second chance. Or this is the guy who has this and everyone always looks past him. So you want to be that person. Or he
mhm,
doesn't his mother relationship wasn't very well. So you want to be that person. So
right.
first you need to come to the realization of what is happening.
Mhm.
This is toxic and I need to figure out, how do I protect myself? And then you go into the steps of probably like, okay, whatever this, distance conversation. But most of the times, many, they want to talk about it first. You can't protect yourself because you have
You
to
really
first.
think so? Like real quick, pineapple. Like you really think so? The one thing I've personally peeped. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I think it's about experience, but my personal experience is that that's the number one thing people have the hardest time doing is talk
Hmm.
through. People are so quick to run off. That's why it's a whole term called ghosting. You know who that got started by? People who don't know how to talk things out. So they rather just run. And me personally, that's what I see a lot more than I don't know. I don't know. I think people would rather just duck you and not tell you why they ducking you before they actually just have a conversation, just let you know what it is. Give that person a chance to let you know, oh, okay. Because a lot of times it could be something didn't even realize, didn't even know. You had
Right.
no idea that your friend felt offended by X, Y, and Z, so on and so forth. But if
Hmm.
it simply came out like one on one with you, hey, look, in the future when we around folks, like, the whole I don't like the joke like that, whatever it may be. And if y'all really are truly friends, the only thing that person is going to do is respect it. If I really do care about you, I love you, and you one of mine, right? You one of my people's. As soon as you say that, the only thing I'm going to be doing is giving you all homage and respect.
No, that's not how it
Oh,
happens.
man, like, nah, you got it. Like, my bad. That won't happen again, and I'll make it very clear. Like, I'm receptive because it is supposed to be reciprocal. You're right.
That's
So
not how it happens, though. You know that.
just as much as you want that respect, you know what I mean? Like that's something you got to give as well. But that's one thing I would just say on my end. Like I don't know what it is with people. We have all the ways and means of communication now more than ever. We have text, we got phone, we got email, we got social media. And for some reason, people don't. People don't communicate like we don't. Like a lot of people just don't like I think we think it's like you look better. I think it's a style, it's a fake fad to basically act like you don't care and I can just dismiss anyone. But then you go around other people disgruntled. They don't know why you treating them that way. It's because you haven't addressed something that you should have addressed a while ago. You should have just talked it through. You should have just said something. And a lot of people don't do that. And that's what can be very toxic. Communicate the lack of communication, I believe, is extremely toxic. Just
Yeah,
say
I don't think it, and I think that the lack of communication is, I think that it's partially like an adapted skill, and then I think it's a learned. Because one thing, like my little sister brought something to my attention. It's not that I'm not toxic. We're both the same kind of person, so our
mhm,
toxic trait is the same with each other, and it's
right,
crazy. So you know how no, not to get into the zodiac thing, but like cancers don't mind being by themselves, and they cancers have smart mouths, right? So you could just imagine two of the same person saying talking back to each other. So of course, I'm going through my little my little stage of life where my little belly is a little poochy,
yep,
and I looked at her little belly is poochy, and of course my smart ass said something to her one day, was like, "Oh, look at your little belly," and she's like, "Well, look at yours," and I said, "Well, mine is because I'm old lady," and she goes, "Mine is because I had a baby, so now what?" And so I was like feeling offended. I was like, I wanted to be like, "Bitch," but I
right.
realized in that moment, like we both literally gave each other like a shot, like that was a toxic
Shots
shot.
fired. That was definitely shots fired. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. So it was like, okay, but then it was a learn. And when she brought it to my attention about her saying something to somebody and them responding and then her getting into a confrontation, she works for HR. So she's like, oh, I work for HR. I can't do that. I can't respond a certain way because, but this person sometimes takes me there. And then she's responding, but it's literally when she's telling me, I'm like, that's the same thing we did to each other. It was because she was already adapted, like you said, it's something that they're accustomed to. But then the learn side of it was she realized that she learned how to do that. That's not normal for her. That's not a normal reaction for her because she doesn't do it to other people, she said. And I'm like, same thing here. I don't have to talk like that to other strangers.
Mm,
Sometimes I do have to pop off, but it takes it have, for most people, it takes you a second to get there. But literally her telling me like, and then she telling me that that someone was offended. She reminded me of, remember when someone got offended by what you said to them? And I was like, yeah, but that bitch, I'm thinking I'm justifying it. And she's
yeah.
like, no, no. We're like, wait. And it was like an aha moment. Like we both literally learned how to do that. Like that was something, it was like a defense mechanism, in school or whatever. But that little
Mhm,
smart real snap, we taught ourselves how to do that. So I'm
mhm.
thinking that for the toxicity, for even to undo it, you probably need to identify, is this in this person? If every time I say something to someone who is heavier than me and they got to remind me that I'm small and thin, is that in them? Or are they projecting? Or is this is this something they can't control? Because that's part of it too. Like they don't even realize they're saying stuff like that or doing something that is offending you. Like you said, you've been with friends with this person and you don't even realize, yo, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of offensive. And in your mind, you're saying, hey, if you come and tell me, I'll adjust and I'll make the proper adjustment. But Smitty, you're a unicorn, okay? We established that you're a bionic man, you're a freaking unicorn. So we can't go by Smitty, okay? Smitty is a different standard. But for
I
most people, no, they're not handling it that way. They're not going to say, hey, thanks for letting me know that I was, getting on your nerves or offending you. I'm going to change my behavior. So the toxicity is greater and it's stronger. So if it's increasing over time,
mhm,
because that person's like, well, I'm, or in the other side of it where the person doesn't ever end up saying anything because they feel like they don't want to jeopardize whatever benefit or positive side of the relationship they're going to lose by letting you know, Smitty, I'm not cool with that. Hey, if you don't, I don't like the way you do this or say this
That's
to
what I
me.
was going to say. Pineapple, real quick. I was going to say
Pineapple.
that I believe, yes, I believe that what it is more than anything is that we're in a yes man, yes woman society. We're in a you need to just shut up and agree. As egregious as what I'm saying, as embarrassing as what I may be doing, just clap and cheer me on. And I
Mm-mm.
think that that's where the toxicity also comes in. Believe it or not, you being a yes man or a yes woman to somebody is actually more toxic than being a hater.
Mm-hmm.
It's more toxic because you're not helping that person at all. And actually, I look at it to be like, so do you want to see me crash and burn? Because it's like how you see I'm messing up and you not saying nothing. You just gonna stay quiet. You just gonna sit back and be like this, huh? You just rubbing your hands together, like, yeah.
But that's toxic in itself too, because like I said, with my one friend, like I have a friend that she's married now, and me and her are the same sign too. And we'll hang out when we're around each other, but we don't try to meet up to hang out with each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because she's that judgmental, I'm better than you because I've grown past this toxic trait in my, you know what I mean? And because what you just said triggered it. She's that person. Well, I'm not saying that she's that person, but she can be like that.
What it
She
is this, right? Real quick. You
It's
got
judgmental. It's the judgment too that they add to the toxicity as they grow older, and then that in itself is toxic. And then just sitting there watching me crash or having me, that's the friend that's not so sad when you're like, I can't believe he broke up and he cheated on me. I saw him cheating on me, and that friend's like, okay. And then for some reason they always knew that. You know what I mean? Or you could, they sit there and watch you make a bad investment, and you can be sitting there telling your homeboy, man, I shouldn't have did that, man. I lost too much money. And he's sitting back like I knew that the whole time.
yep.
You're supposed to be my friend. You're gonna sit there and watch me crash this plane.
See, that's what I'm saying. But now watch when you put it in that context, now we have to revisit the whole word friend. Was that really what that was the entire time? Did
Right.
a friend do that? Do you see what I'm saying? So now when you put it in that perspective, that's the very first thing comes to my mind. Hold up. Now I'm recalculating everything that I thought was a friendship. What I
Right.
thought was love, what I thought was a relationship, you know what I mean? A good business
Right.
partnership, whatever it may be.
Right.
So I definitely get you on. Let me ask you this one. So like you knowing this, say I'm somebody, all right, so I'm just totally green. Green like my background. I don't know nothing. You somebody who has experience and you know what toxic people consist of. And so I ask you, what steps can I take to go ahead and make sure that I set boundaries for toxic people? Like, how would you give advice to someone to set boundaries for toxic circumstances?
Well, the advice I give myself regularly,
Do
try
it.
to try
Talk
to
about it.
stay, yeah, try to well, the first thing, like I said, for me was to identify what was toxic for me. Um, and I think like I agree with the whole thing when people say don't tell everybody everything at all at once. So you just, when a person
That's my
when
motto.
when you interact with a person, sometimes even with the new people you meet, you kind of want to let them know, hey, this is my boundaries. I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like this. It's kind of overwhelming too. So I
Right.
think the first thing for me was to figure out what was toxic to me, or
Mm.
what was I saying? Because remember in the beginning I said that sometimes you have that anything can be toxic just because you just don't want to deal with it, right?
Right.
So you can say, even though I prefer you take your shoes off when you come in the door, I take my shoes off. I don't wear shoes in my house. For me, that's a pet peeve. That's a big deal for me and my comfort. But to me, I can easily say, "Oh my God, you have toxic behavior because you can't follow instructions when you don't, your manners are off. all that could be attributed to the fact that I can say that you're a toxic person because you just don't want to do what I asked you to do to make myself comfortable. So I had to
Right.
kind of figure that first. So the first thing for anybody is probably to figure out what it is for you that was like, okay, talk something that you really, really just cannot, you're not going to be able to digest, all the way to something that's palatable. And then eventually you start to realize the things you overlook.
Hmm.
Um, but even like for my little nephew, you know, saying we had to give him I had to give him the whole, there, you know, there are friends, there are people that come into your life for the lifetime reason or season, and then there are frenemies. And just like the Holy Creator can send you a blessing, so can the enemy. So they're gonna, you know, I would try to tell my nephew like, you need to start being able to, or you need to learn how to identify who's for you and who's not for you, just in general. Because even the person that claims to be on your side, it still has their own toxic traits that can literally overflow into your life, you know. um
Ulterior motives.
well, then the ulterior motive, not necessarily saying that I have an ulterior motive, it's just that my life is so toxic that I'm looking for people who are less toxic so that I can like lean on them, and by default they're going to take on
I
something,
think
you know what I mean?
you trying to soak up some of that peace.
Right, but your life is so messed up that you can't get it won't soak it up. You end up overflowing on them. So, you know, I had to let my little nephew know one thing I learned early was to just be peaceful and be okay with the fact that you are peaceful when whatever situations and whatever's going on. So someone would say, you know, they say what being calm in the midst of chaos is a toxic trait in itself, right?
Right.
Because you should have something, the environment should be affecting you somehow. But I've learned that not all the time that could be a problem. It could be a good toxic, it could be a good factor, you know. Even though it may seem toxic, it's just that I'm the calmest person in the room when everything's going crazy. So I had to kind of realize those things. So I would tell
Now,
someone who's going through this, like, you need to realize where you are, where your whole barometer is. What happens when things will get crazy? What happens when a person starts yelling in your face? All the things that you feel like you can't handle. And at the same time, don't overwhelm everybody with what's going on, with what's wrong, you know, what your toxic limits and your boundaries are, because people tend to do that. Hi, my name is Genesis. Don't piss me off. Like, you know. Um, and then
pineapple.
I got so, oh, go ahead.
Pineapple. If I'm not mistaken, did I hear you say there could be such thing as a good toxic?
I'm saying that the part that is that the toxicity in someone else can be beneficial to you, or it could be a beneficial around you.
Break that down.
Um,
Cannot just glide over that one. You got to expand upon that.
I'm just thinking like, just okay, like some things like I would say, I don't want to say like money management is a toxic thing, but it is, or just the lack of money, or like you said, communication. I mean, for me, a person who can care less at times if you communicate at all, it's okay if that's your toxic trait. Because when I don't want to talk to you, it comes in handy, right? When I don't want to be bothered with you, your lack of communication comes in great. Because you can't figure out how to communicate yourself, what you can do for me is when you get it together, we can talk later, which is great because I don't want to be bothered with you right now either. So and then in that regard, it works for me. You know what I mean? It may work for people like that. Sometimes it could be it's beneficial in probably in regards to how people use each other. People rely on you to for that toxic moment. For example, um, I have the friend who is the turn up at the table when stuff goes wrong. I'm the customer service friend. I'm the one that'll go aside to the side and talk to the manager and be like, yo, this is what happened. But I have
Mm.
the friend that's at the table, like we see these situations where they're like, this is unacceptable behavior. For for a lot of people, that's toxic about her. It's like, okay, don't you know how to handle things? You know, so for a lot of people, why don't you get up and go over there and talk to the manager? Why you got to sit here at the table and turn up? But that showmanship, that fact that she's has a lot of pride in her moment, and in that moment, she's very firm, she's very confident. Whatever's
Wait a
happening,
minute
that's
though. But wait a minute though, real quick. Pineapple, mango.
Mhm.
So uh, I don't know. Do you believe that in that moment she's being toxic? Because I want us to really stay focused on that actual definition. Because what that sound like to me, obviously, as an as a chef and somebody working in a restaurant business over 20 something years myself, that sounds like no home training.
it does because we attributed it to that. But that person takes that everywhere
But
they
just
go, and
real quick
they
though.
hella toxic.
Real quick though. So am I getting this right? You're saying that the lack of home training is considered a toxic trait?
No, we attribute it to that. We say
O-
that's what that is. But
Okay.
when we dissect those behaviors singularly, they all are toxic. Not you've not seen how to sit at a restaurant. No, you've been out enough. I don't know. Maybe I'm just under that assumption all the time that maybe you've been around enough people in life to know that's not how you conduct yourself, right? You don't have to have
When you reach
that
a certain
particular
age,
skill be taught to
that
you as a child.
absolutely, when you reach a certain age, if
You
you
kind
are
of
over
you
the
can
age of
deduce certain
25,
things in life, right? You can kind of figure out like, I don't see nobody else cutting up like this, so it's probably not the right thing to do.
you
We
know
hear
the
the
number one
rumors about
thing I
spitting in
learned?
your food and all that.
You know the number one thing I learned real quick when I first went into prison, I was doing my 7 years. I know people like, why are you using this as an example? Because it's real life. The first thing that I learned is don't do what you don't see nobody else doing. If you don't see nobody else going up them steps to go to that door or whatever, don't your ass decide to say, I wonder why. You see,
That's
that's like one
crazy.
of the first rules, dog. Mind your business and don't do what you don't see other people doing. And I take that and I transfer it into the, free world, should we say, right? Same thing. Certain jobs, certain environments. If you invited me to a function, if I see that nobody's going over there and getting food themselves, I'm not going to be the one dumbass to go up and be like, yeah, let me get some shrimp.
But
No, no,
then we always think, okay,
apparently
so in
must be some kind of order. Apparently, maybe we gotta wait and flag somebody and get them to bring it to us for whatever purpose or reason. So that's my whole point. If I don't see you doing it, I'm not just going to bust out of nowhere and do what I don't see you doing.
we'll see.
That's
But
called self-awareness. But rock out. I digress. My mic is muted.
you have, and you probably have your own little toxic traits within that, but that's not one of them. But
You know what? If I had to say I had any toxic trait, I'm gonna be real with you. Watch this. This is gonna be crazy. My toxic trait is that I care too much.
but
Caring.
see, just like you asked me, how could something toxic be beneficial? How could you care too much and that be toxic? You see,
Either.
how it's an oxymoron. How you earlier what you asked me was like, how could something toxic be beneficial? How could toxicity be beneficial? The same
Mhm.
way that what you just said. There's no way that you can care too much because caring is positive. Caring can't be toxic. Caring's
No,
a
you
good
can't.
thing.
It can. You want to know how caring become too toxic? It becomes toxic if I cared about you to the point where I'm neglecting myself. I'm neglecting my own well pampering and well-being. I'm literally flooding into you and it's not being reciprocated. Caring
Hmm.
too much can drain you. Yes, it can. And that can be considered something toxic. Absolutely.
Right. Like I'm loyal to a fault, which is probably very
Man, what?
toxic.
Man, are you serious? That it can be
Which is
very
very
draining,
toxic because
and it
people
can mess
always
your
say, why you
feelings
just
up.
don't leave that person alone? Why you keep going over there to Smitty? Why you keep going over to this page? Why you keep dealing with that person? Why you keep calling your cousin and hanging out with them? Yeah, my loyalty is toxic.
Yes. When you like loyal to a like to no fault, like
Yeah.
you just you just blindly follow. Yes, that can be toxic because you're neglecting yourself of what you obviously see that you should be using discernment towards. You should be having more discernment than what it is you're using. So
Well,
that's the only
you
reason.
don't know anything, and that's the other side too, because that's why I said the person could be taking the toxicity could be a benefit to that other person. So because that person is loyal,
Mm.
they will be mistreating you. They'll be all kind of toxic all over the place because they know that you're not gonna never just, again, you might be the person that weighs it up against the relationship and says, you know what, I have more value in being your friend and more value in being, keeping our relationship than to worry about this little idiosyncrasy that you have. And then we attribute it to something else. We say, oh, you just never was taught right, or maybe you need to learn, or maybe you need to be, shown the right way. We make it something else when it's really all day like, oh shit, a toxic trait that in this person that we just seem to not want to pay attention to. We don't want to give it any credence. But for them, it's beneficial because you're so loyal, I could just and then what they say to me, you the friend, I could just say it however I want to say it. Really in real life, they wouldn't say that shit to nobody because they would get their lights knocked out. But for you, since you're the loyal friend and you're not gonna knock their lights out, and they're gonna say, you know what, Smitty? No one understands me like you. No one hears me when I speak. No one believes in me. And it's all that shit that we say, you know what, you right. Me and you us never part. And then they go back to being this toxic asshole because to you, for them, you being the way you are, that little toxic trait and you being loyal is beneficial to them. It works for them because they ain't got nobody else to dump on, right? So it's beneficial. But we sit on the other side too with manipulation, where I'm gonna keep using the fact that Smitty is so respectful, and then what we say, guys like that get walked over by beautiful women because she's using that your little toxicity factor, the fact that you just don't know how to shut it down and shut it off, I'm gonna use it to my advantage,
That right there and what you just described to me sounds a lot like narcissistic manipulation. That sounds
And
like
that's toxic
the
too.
definition of what a manipulator does. That's manipulation right there in the negative form. There's a positive and negative form of manipulation, by the way. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I get you on that. I get you on that. So let me ask you this. Like, why would you say it is important, right? Why is it important to protect your peace from toxic people, even those who could be possibly your family or friends? Like, why is that important?
It's important because it contributes to your sanity, and it's important for me just to be able to. I don't. It's depletion of my little peace bowl,
Right.
So it takes away, and I need to. If you're not putting anything in there, you're not depositing. I need to preserve as much as I can. So it's
Mm-hmm.
important to kind of protect your little bubble. But like I said, I don't know too, Smitty, because for personally, I'm good sometimes by myself, so that gets misconstrued or misunderstood as something else. So for a lot of people, that in a Cancer is toxic. That's a toxic trait that we can't control, that we don't mind being alone to our own detriment, right?
Wait. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a
So
minute.
for me, I can be by myself. I
Being
could be in my
comfortable,
bubble. Say it
Mango,
again.
Mango.
Mango.
Uh, being comfortable in oneself is considered a toxic trait nowadays.
Yes, you know how many times
What?
I've been told that they said it's not good to be alone. It's not good to be by yourself all the
No,
time.
no.
You
Not,
need to interact with people. You lose social skills. Child, they tell me all kind of crazy
I
stuff.
got you on that part. No. Okay. All right.
I forget how to talk to
Okay.
people because I'm by myself.
No, I'm just saying as far as like I think that's more so. I think what's being said because all right. So watch this. This is where
It's
the
not good to be all alone so much by yourself. You need some
but
sort of
yeah,
interaction.
like to the point where you literally are talking out loud to yourself and everything else,
No,
and
yeah, no, that's what the
you get to
picture that they want you to
arguing with
see, but
yourself
that's
and
not what's
shit.
happening.
You know what I'm saying? You start arguing with you. Now that's the problem. Now you got cabin fever. So don't get to like you shut up. You know what I'm saying?
Or no, like in my mind,
That's a
when
problem.
people say that, pineapple, in my mind, when people say that, it's like you seen those insurance commercials where they say home ownership turns you into your parents, and it almost makes you want to,
Precedent.
talk to everybody, anybody around you. So you're literally talking to the mailman, you're talking to the person at the cash register, you're talking to everybody around you because you're not talking to nobody.
Because you don't talk to nobody. Like I'm talking about, like literally. Look, you done named a squirrel that comes to your backyard.
Right, right. That's what it do. But you
There you
like,
go,
that's
Steve. What's
Polly.
up, Steve?
That's Polly. That's
Name the
probably
squirrel
the
Steve.
bird. That's probably the crow that comes and sits on the porch outside. You like, and
Uh,
then you sit there, you talk to the mailman say, how you doing today? You say, well, let me tell you. Then you look up and the mailman's still sitting there talking to you. It's been 5 minutes.
not,
He ain't
hey,
delivered
look,
nobody mail.
I shit you not. I shit you not. Like my first year after my accident, like my first year right after my accident, because I like to, I got a yard and stuff. I like to feed the birds and nature stuff like that, seeds and stuff. I get them. And it was two cardinals that would always come by, and I called them Mark and Molly. I don't know why. It was a male and a female. I just called them Mark and Molly. And I literally would be sitting there talking to the birds, like, I need to get out the house. I need to go ahead. I need to just go hit the bar real quick or something. God dang it. Go to
Something,
karaoke
see?
night. Go to an open mic or something. Go to a spoken word or something night. You know what I mean? Find you a book.
See?
God dang it.
You got to talk to somebody. So I guess to a degree, it can be become toxic because, and then what happens too, what we started to see what happens too, right, Smitty, is that those people
Mhm.
become such a recluse and such incelish, or femcelish that they rather
Introvert.
not be
Introverts.
around introvert. Well, that too, but they
Mhm.
rather not be. It becomes easier, which that's what creates the not keeping to yourself. You start off with keeping your peace,
Right.
but because it morphed into this monster, now it's completely toxic that you just rather be by yourself and you almost prefer that as opposed to dealing with people. So you do lose that, you can lose that that skill set. That's kind of one of like riding a bike or roller skating. Like if you haven't done it in a while, you're gonna be a little bit wobbly when you first started. So every time you go out and interact with someone, you're gonna be quick to get pissed off. You're gonna get quick to get triggered because now everything is literally on hyper, on hyper touch. It's super sensitive because the interaction is being limited. So you're not sharpening that skill and you're not wearing it down to where it's palatable. So that all that happens. But like I said, I can't be a good person to judge that because I can be by myself by default. My cancer trait. I can be alone. And some people they say, wait, that's not okay. That's not good, especially for a woman. We're created to be interactors. So that's the first layer of how it could be a problem and it could be beneficial. Like I'm good rocking out. Like I said, I could be in the house with you, but just in a whole nother space of the house and be fine. And knowing that you over in the other room and I can say, hey, you still there? Good. I'm not alone, and I can go back to doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, like your presence alone.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
No,
it looks
that's
different for me now, but I can understand because as a younger person, I could see people who were growing into it being a problem. And then now that becomes more toxicity added to what you already had.
right.
Instead of working it out socially, you rather just be alone and be by yourself. And I think the downside of that is that's what happens when people because again we starting with off with communication, they can't get past that first little toxic trait about themselves. So
Mm,
and for the people who don't mind not talking to you today, it works out great. Your little toxic trait is that you don't talk enough. Thank God that you wanted to be toxic today because I'm sick of you. I don't want to be bothered. I'm like, ooh, look at you, look at God. So you know
mm,
what I mean? There's the boundary is like people hate when you set the boundaries. I just noticed that in my life, the folks around me, the quote unquote friends and family members, as long as I was on that low vibration and I was in my toxicity with them, it was fine. But the moment I'm like, I can't deal with that, or I'm gonna go in my room and close the door, that was like, how dare you just shut me off? How dare you just stop being toxic? And it was the factor that I'm loyal, the fact that I'm the one friend that's just gonna sit there, or the cousin or the sister that's gonna let you sit there and say, well, all these crazy things and not be offended by any of it. It works for you. Like I said, it may benefit you. My toxic trait in me benefits you. You know what I mean? The fact that I don't know how to regulate my like with my friend that turns up at the table. Because she don't know how to regulate herself, which is great sometimes, we get awesome service. You know
Right.
what I mean? But from, like you said, you being a chef and me running restaurants, I do know that that's where the quote unquote spit in your food problem, comes up. Like, or we drop your sandwich on the ground and put it back on your plate type of thing because you was out there being toxic because you don't know how to read the room. So, you know what I mean? But for some, it works like, 'cause every time I turn up, I get excellent service. You do, because folks either are afraid of you or they just spit your food. You know what I mean? That's just because we know what happens behind the scenes.
Mhm. Well, we know that. I mean, again, you got to be careful because people can be vengeful. So
hmm
that's really where that comes in. I mean, I don't know if I will put that underneath the toxic trait more so than like revenge. Because again, like when I speak about what's toxicity in relationships of all forms, I want to make sure that it's like really, really like centered and it's like a concise definition and how we view it. I don't want to conflate a disagreement with toxic. I don't want to conflate, um, you know, uh, I don't like your talking points or something with toxic, like how you said earlier. So I get you on that.
Right.
Like
Where
my
they
whole
kind of
thing,
just make it seem like you're being that way when it really is them. Really, actually, it's still toxic,
yeah,
Spinny, because it's their toxic trait because they don't know how to handle people communicating with them. So they attribute it to
that's,
saying, hey, you know what, Spinny, you're just being toxic. I can't listen to you right
that's
now.
a fact.
When it's really not you, it's them who can't handle it. You're not doing anything wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when I take time and I step back from from things because that's what I like to do. I like to step back and just kind of see the whole picture frame. I realized that I have to actually look at myself before I look at anybody else. That's the number one thing I do. I say to myself, well, how did you either walk into this trap? How did you let them trick you? How did you let them deceive you? The whole nine. Why did you stay around this circumstance and you know that it's not of benefit to you? I have to ask myself them questions. Nobody else, for the most part, is going to ask. You might have a very, very wonderful, loving friend in your life, but a lot of us don't. Not to the point where we will actually have those type of deep, intimate talks. And that's the one time I have to actually really sit down with myself. I got to sit down with myself and ask myself some questions. See where I'm at?
But you see how it can become toxic and it can benefit someone else because if I know that about you, then nothing's gonna ever be my fault. I'm gonna always, especially that person who is toxic minded, they use that to their advantage. Smitty, could it be that I wasn't wrong in this situation and that you just need to kind of be a little more introspective about what just happened? Because
Hmm.
you're gonna always look at yourself first. I know that. So guess what happens? This ain't me. That's you. This ain't me. That's you. And you're
Right.
looking up, and then you look up and you realize that relationship has always been that way.
Right.
Whereas you've been always been this introspective. Because if I know that's where you're gonna go first, then I'm not taking it. My accountability is gonna be delayed until you figure out what part of this I'm involved. I'm what part of it is mine. And sometimes by default, you don't ever do. You're gonna continuously say, what did Smitty do first? Why did I allow myself to be around this person? Good. Keep thinking that because now I'm gonna continue being the straight asshole I've been. And what are you gonna do about it? You're gonna always go to yourself and say, well, what did Smitty do? No, Smitty didn't do anything. It's the other person taking advantage of the fact that you're gonna always be that guy.
Yeah. It's the subconscious on that note. So yeah, that's the main thing that I really did want to talk about today. I do appreciate you coming up, adding your adding your $5, $10 in there. I can't even call it 2 cents. You really did that today. I appreciate you and your take. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, what it is we've been talking about today is basically the traits of toxic people, relationships, and circumstances, and how it can either like make a negative impact on you or what you should do to stay away from it. So, Genesis, thank you, beloved. Thank you for coming up. I appreciate you. Um,
Oh, you're welcome.
yeah, no, seriously. I mean, again, because I tell people all the time, uh, this channel is my channel, but it's not for me. If you get it, like I
Mhm.
really am trying my best to design and build a place where whoever, just be respectful. Come on up and speak your mind. Let's talk about these topics. Let's try to build. Let's bounce off each other's ideas, and let's walk away with something that we learn, as well as being entertained in the process, right? So that's how I see this whole thing. But I appreciate you for coming up. Thank you very much. We're gonna get ready to get up out of here. What's your final thoughts though about the whole topic? Like anything last?
Um, yeah, I think go back and figure out, or I hate to say when people say figure out because sometimes people never figure it out.
Mm,
So I would say that um go like do the Smitty first, go introspective, see what part of
she said, "Do the Smitty first."
do the Smitty first, go back and see what part of it you had to deal with, but
Right.
also keep in mind and be aware that people can use their own toxic traits and they can use whatever is toxic in you to their
Mm,
benefit or against you, and not to say that my cousin calling me anorexic, because anorexia is a real serious deal for a lot of women, right? But it
mhm,
caused me to really look at what that was, and it may even open your eyes to something you didn't know about. You know what I mean? So I didn't know about that as the eating disorder. I don't have that eating disorder, but it made me aware of it. And then I also realized that that was something serious to where I had to, set the boundary because I didn't want her to keep saying that when people are really dealing with that and they can't control it. So it may, maybe sometime it might shed a light on something for you that you weren't aware of in our world, in our society, or in your environment. So do the Smitty first. Look and see, hey, what is it about me? What's going on? What did I do? What's happening from my perspective? But please don't only leave it there. Also include the fact that is this person using this, or is this person benefiting from this, or are they using this as manipulation? Because they're doing something with it. They're doing something with the fact that I'm loyal. That Genesis is never gonna just walk away. She's gonna you can do this to her 14 times before she finally leaves you alone. Well, they know that, and now I know that. You know what I mean? So take that into perspective when you do your Smitty check. When you say, "What about me?" Oh, you know what? I'm the guy that's always gonna look and be introspective. So they're waiting for me to do that. And just remember that sometimes the toxicity is the person actually using what's good about you against you. So, be aware, but do your Smitty check and then check the person and then leave them alone. Because the best thing you can ever do is take your gifts and walk away with it. And that's you are the gift. Amen.
absolutely. I absolutely love it. I would say on my final thoughts, yeah, when it comes to toxic relationships and people, we need to step back and look, like I said, inside. Like she said, I guess it's called the Smitty check now. Okay. All right. That's branded. Yes, look inside yourself and ask yourself, like, what is it about me to where I'm either not removing myself from this or I keep on attracting to it. Whatever's toxic is going to be toxic. You're not going to get rid of that unless you get rid of people, which won't happen. So since we know this, we know that, okay, well, I need to go ahead and do the alternative. I need to do the latter. What is that? Recognize life for what it is. See people for what they are. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You see. So that's where I am in my headspace with that. But I definitely once again, one last time, why I appreciate you, beloved, for coming up. You know what I'm saying, and giving us your take on things. And with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted. Respect to the family.
Bye, y'all.
I'm a fallen angel from sky. Up above, I'm that man that think is a thug. I'm your drug and your plug. Wings tucked, I seen pain, seen blessings, seen luck. Ran over by train, that's about 8 trucks. Smitty really gritty, but never I'm no slut to the money and fame. You can keep your chain, we free men over here. And in case you didn't know, my favorite color is here. Yes, I'm here, not fresh to death, no stress, no worries. All burdens, I done buried, closed coffin. I'm the beauty of the beast, and a man I found often. I'm the cure to infection. My reflection is broken down in sections. Retired chef outside, still cooking. I be rocking with best. Thank you, good looking. Y'all must be lunching on mothers. If you not from my section, then you cool, but not a brother. Lone Star, the astronaut from above. You looking for a fix? I'm your brand new blood. Shotgun slug, flood of the love spreads. Truck by train, made it out by thread. Should've be dead, but rose from darkness and walking with an oath. I'm not the goat, I'm shepherd. Blending into the world tree, hiding a leaper. Mr. 7, I'm ghost in flesh.
I'm no big dog, but I got a big bite. Mr. 7 back again, why aggressing all the mic, I keep it hype. Man, I'd rather hit a J with you than scuff around and fight. I tackle any challenge that be in my line of sight. I'm that crispy, clean, king iron fist, walking by my skin is Hennessy. I'm the remedy, even when I'm gone, my thoughts will linger for eternity. Just in case you never heard of me, nice. To meet you, you could call me County King. My spirit shine like the glisten of a bling. When the devil gets to talking, that's when God starts walking. I listen to spirit when the message is locked in. Yes, I spin to and hashtag no gamble. My life is beautiful, skin stay shining from my head to my cuticles. Mr. 7 clocking out, I digress, my mic is new.
Constellations, I constructed, I compute this, and it's fanning. Constellations, I constructed, I'm confused, and it's fanning.
Constellations I construct and computers I'm in phantom.